Episode 4. Welcome back to another episode at Consciously Evolving Enterprises. As always, I am your host, Mr. Ryan Dillon Brassington. A quick introduction. Okay, so this is a series of true short stories where we have been exploring the scary paranormal happenings caused by unfortunate domestic events in the family home. These are all freaky stories of survival in a domestic violent haunted home, from the memories of people that with lived experiences and have been kind enough to share their events and stories with us. Some seeking to find a common connection to verify the truth, others tell their truth to find healing, to heal that inner child, and reconcile with a past long avoided, push away and shut down. With true tales they open the door where shadows linger and nightmares, memories, fragmented memories of a former life lived as a child, and the real-life monsters are the parents we are meant to love in that family home. Arthur Samaritan, 1995. In November of 1995, I was faced some family difficulties to say the least. Due to the growing toxicity within the family home, Arthur was removed by family services and put into foster care. The foster was full of other children, Arthur sharing a room for the first time. However, Arthur was no longer the only boy in the house, and the two brothers that shared the room, Alan and Bobby, welcomed Arthur in as one of their own. As summer came and boys being boys spent most of their time on the hunt for females, at the shops, at the pools, at the parks and recreation centers, all forging unforgettable memories for the young teenage males. But one day from nowhere, Arthur's birth father shows up at the foster house. I question now if it is kidnapping when it's your father who convinces you to jump into a car by stating, "We'll travel to a place of beaches, hot young babes. Oh, and here's $100 and a $100 bill for you, have and spend on what you want if you come with me now and don't tell anyone." Well, as a young fella, I was convinced I was in a dreamlike state. My father had come to rescue me finally, to take me far, far away on a Permian holiday. The location was Central Coast, not the Gold Coast. The home was not a house but a small caravan. The holiday was shortly lived, as if I didn't attend school any parental allowance would be cancelled. Education was not at school, but the ability to learn how to attempt was evolving within the home environment of a child in his adolescence. Over the next few months, the devil of my father addiction erased, not once but several times every week, from alcohol consumption to mushroom intoxication. However, worst of all were the demons dressed like people, and people who let the demons feed through their actions. Outcomes: deliberate actions to cause offense and rob a person of their belongings, Christmas gifts, earnings, goods and property, by convincing them you are their long-term well-trusted good friend, that just so happened to take everything in your storage unit after convincing you to purchase one, and blame someone else and never be seen again. Well, me as a developing young man begun to take notice and started to become aware of the gullibility I had formerly as a child, so I begun to pray, not to God but to a creator I had little knowledge about. I just felt the angels had not stopped the horrors beforehand, how could they help now? So to the alternative I leaned, to the unknown I trusted, I prayed. As I lay there praying to any entity that would listen, come to action and save my soul, or even take it to better places. Take it, I give it freely. As I utter those words within my head, I look to my father, who is sitting in his armchair in a drunken stupor. A glimmer, a shine, catches my eye. I look closer, staring intently, my brain trying to understand what I was looking at, what was seeing. As my father sat in his chair, the light from the ceiling reflected from his closed eyelids. However, the light reflected in two colors of white and a slither of red running down the center. As I stare, it was as to me his eyes were not closed at all but shone brightly, with these demonic eyes relentlessly staring right back at me. It shocked me up. I was stuck between curiosity and fear. I stared the beast down for hours, unblinking, dry-eyed, red raw eyeballs squinting in challenge and to understand. The devil's eyes just stared right back, glaring back without remorse, unflinching, void of emotion, and staring right back into my eyes. Was this demon or the devil himself? Here I am, stuck in what felt like an eternal battle with the devil, locked in a small tin box with flat wheels and locked tin doors. There was no escape. Stuck in fear, I knew any sudden movement, any sort of noise, any disturbance would have him wake and then instantly regret ever trying to get out, for he is relentless and unforgiving. In reflection, as an adult I was under capture and treated no better than a disliked dog with attachments and hunger. So here I was face to face with a man, taking on the form of a serpent, the flesh on his face changing, morphing before my eyes. The color change begun to look like scales. The redness of his hair seemed to cover his body, like an octopus changing camouflage. It was subtle and sudden at the same time. Lips faded into a slit, nose nothing but two black holes, His eyebrows seemed to not exist and my imagination fell into an abyss of darkness, my vision only seeing an armchair of red leather fire and my father before me sitting as a rotten flesh king of death, smoke and fire. This battle went thought the night, and I only managed to break free from the tension when the sun rose over the horizon, the daylight flooding into the caravan windows.
So the fear was real. The demonic forces were at play within his father's spirit, and with his son's soul next in line, something divine came to intervene. On one of my father's drunken nights, he had gotten lost within the bushland between the pub to caravan park, and did not return home. By morning, I knew something more than just a hangover had happened. So I used the time to squeeze out of the mental frame screen and down the side of the van and the toilet block, shifting along for the longest time. I almost stopped breathing. Finally free from the caravan that had kept me inside, I took the opportunity to run to the front office and asked to use the phone. Luckily, I remember the Foster House landline, as it was written in permanent marker on the fridge. At the time, I didn't understand why. But no, I do. So many times I went to that fridge looking for food. So I called the house and asked for Alan, my foster brother. Sister Natasha answered and recognized my voice immediately. Shocked, she asked if I was well. I said, yeah, wanting to speak into Alan. I didn't realize the seriousness of the situation until I spoke with Alan, and he said that I had been reported as a missing child months ago. No one knew what happened to you. I explained my father came to get me and took me away, which I thought I had every right to do. But this was not true. Your father is a criminal, and has used you on his criminal spree to you to get away with murder. And that's when I learned of my mother's death, her life taken in an assault of domestic violence and revenge. I stayed on the phone as I turned to the lady receptionist and stated, I think I've been kidnapped. She almost fainted, and I begun to cry. The next thing I knew, the police arrived, and I was reunited with my foster brothers and settled back in the foster house. And not long after, I met the love of my life, who became my long-term girlfriend, and his now wife, Beatrice. Her family took me in and cared for me as a loving family would.
That's the end of this one. Thank you for listening, reading, sharing. We appreciate you. See you next time at Consciously Evolving Enterprises.